I am really starting to love things like poetry, beautiful essays and readings, and prayers and quotes and things like this. If anybody hasn't read any Brianna West, I would absolutely recommend that you read some of her books. She is an incredible author. She has a way of putting into words the things that I know to be true, but I can't figure out quite how to say it. She says it in such an eloquent way. Anyway, so I just want to read you this one. One day, you will look back on this time and all you will see is magic. You won't remember how stuck you felt, or how far behind you thought you were, or what you wished you had done differently. All you will see is that within your uncertainty was also your potential, and within your lostness was also an opportunity to be found. And within your discomfort was also a chance to see what you needed to change. And changing it was you becoming the person you were always meant to be. If there is one single thought that can comfort you in your darkest, quietest nights, please let it be this. One day you will look back on this time and all you will see is magic. So, noticing that within some of your darkest moments, some of the contrasting times, is also the pathway and the realization to becoming who you've always meant to be, which is who you already are. You just don't believe it. It's a remembering, it's a returning home. So there will be a day that all you will see is magic. And that's what so many of us truly experience now within my community is magic. I want to make sure that every single one of us is reflecting in a productive, loving energy and perspective. So sometimes what we will do, especially if it is natural and common for us, we will reflect upon the year in judgment. And so to judge something means you're giving it meaning. It means something. You're saying whether it was good or bad, whether it was positive or negative. We're saying whether or not it served us, didn't serve us. But where the real judgment comes in is when we give it meaning for what it means about who we are and what we've done or haven't done. So, what I want us to do is reflect upon the year, January to today. We're going to reflect upon the year, but we are going to do it in compassion. We are going to give ourselves grace, and we are going to do it in a loving perspective. I saw a comment, I think it was one of the ads, that said something along the lines of, well, if you know anything about law of attraction, then you know that you don't want to look back because you'll attract from the past, right? And I want to just speak to this a little bit because I do believe that I am a law of attraction and manifestation expert. I'm probably one of the best in the world. If I told you what has just happened in my life in the past 6 months, I had a manifestation come through yesterday, the day before, that is so crazy, but not crazy, that I'm just like this. Like, what? Because I created the KCB identity and I received confirmation 2 days ago that that is going to absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, be my observation very, very soon. And it is a financial win in a very, very big way. I'm saying that to say that this work is so incredibly powerful and so important and so big. But what I want us to really understand is that there is a lot of information around law of attraction that is not helpful, beneficial, nor is it a truth that I would want to believe. I'm not saying that it's not true or it's incorrect because there is no truth. There's no one truth, there's your truth. And so if you believe that law of attraction is simply positive thinking and being positive all the time and never thinking about the bad and never feeling bad, you're really getting yourself tripped up. Or you're actually going to be working against universal law, which is going to make your manifestations harder than if you work alongside and with universal law. So, universal law says that there's the law of opposites, polarity. So, as you manifest all the things that you want, you're going to observe the opposite of it before it comes. Right now, I'm in a moment right now in my life where I am the happiest that I have ever been. I'm so in spirit. I have my biggest manifestations. And then I have this weird experience happening that's completely contrasting to it. And so I'm like, oh, I get it. This is the law of opposites. That's it. That's all this is. So I used to be where I would suppress my emotions, I would push them away, I would avoid things from my past, looking at it. It's like toxic positivity. I'm just going to sit here and be super positive and just pretend that everything is okay and pretend I'm super happy. And yeah, I manifested some great things doing that, but I also manifested some pretty awful things like almost losing my life by not working through my emotional state. So we don't want to spiritually bypass. We want to do the work, and that's what this reflection event is about. So, what's so beautiful about this event is that we're going to reveal so much in your life over the course of the year that's going to be incredible feedback for you for 2025. We really, really want to make sure that you go into 2025 feeling your lightest. What does it mean to feel light? We manifest the most amount of things in an effortless way when we feel light. When we feel heavy, we feel bogged down, we feel stressed, we feel overwhelmed, we're in worry. That feels hard, doesn't it? That feels hard. So we want to go into 2025 in this lightness. And so that's my goal, is to get you into the light, to really just move you into that light place. So as we reflect upon the year this year, we're going to look at all of the things within this year that were amazing, were incredible, that where you felt you grew, where you felt you were successful, where you quantum leaped, where you're super proud of yourself, where you were happy, where did you exist in a really beautiful, loving, grateful space, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then we're also going to say, okay, but where did I observe the most contrast this year? Where did I experience the most amount of fear? Where did my doubt start to creep back in? Where did I perhaps have an opportunity that I wanted to take, but I didn't take it because I was too afraid to take it? Where can I look at that? Is there somewhere where I do think I failed? Is there a place in the year where I feel like I disappointed myself? Is there somewhere that I'm shameful about? And the reason that I want you to do all that is because I'm going to show you that none of that was actually real. The story with which you told about that experience made that experience real. But you didn't have to be disappointed. You didn't have to be frustrated. You didn't have to be mad at yourself. You didn't have to think that you're wrong or bad, that you could actually go, what a beautiful awareness. So, do we understand the difference between awareness and judgment? The difference between awareness and conflict, the difference between awareness and displeasure, they're different. To become aware of something is simply to see it, to observe it, to recognize it, etc. And so we want to make sure that we're in the awareness of the year, but we don't want to judge it. So the point of this exercise isn't for you to go over the year and go, "Oh gosh, I'm terrible. This year sucked. I didn't do anything right. I didn't accomplish anything." We're not doing that. Compassion, grace, and a loving perspective. Many times in the manifestation process, we are manifesting something new. So we want to manifest more love, more money, better relationships in our lives, business growth, greater health. But we have this underlying thought that is sitting in behind of the desire that says, but you can't have it. It's too hard. You're too scared. It's not going to happen anyway. So it sounds like this. I would love more money, but it never seems to come to me. I would love a loving relationship in my life, but there's no good men out there. I would love for my business to grow, but nobody's buying what it is that I want, that I sell. So the sponsoring thought or the underlying belief sitting in the subconscious, that's what's manifesting, not the desire. You must become the desired state. So we have to get rid of that sponsoring thought. We have to get rid of the fear. We have to get rid of the but that comes in behind. And so that's what I want this exercise to do, is to show you what all your buts are and make them an and. I would love more money, and it's on its way to me. I would love a loving relationship, and my king is waiting at my doorstep. I would love my business to grow, and I know this year is going to quantum leap my business. See the difference? No buts, only ands. I always say it's never one or the other. It's never either or, it's always an and. That comes from abundance and prosperity. Either or comes from lack and limitation. So if I want something in my life and I want something else in my life too, and at that moment I can't have both things, or it appears like I can't have both things, I realize that actually I can have both things. I'm just going to choose to have one first. So it's an and. But so many times we're like, oh, either or, I have to choose which one of these two purses I want today. When really what we're just saying is, no, you can have anything that you want in your lifetime. You can have all of it. Which one are you going to have first? Which one can you open up? So it's always an and, not an either or. The other piece with this exercise, what you're going to see is we've put it out according to months, because this worked really, really well for me to be able to reflect upon my year, was to take a look at every single month and to remind myself what I did in that month, where I was in the world, what experiences I have. So your number one tool for this that's going to help you the most is going to be your photo camera roll. Okay. So I go in, you can just go into your camera roll and you could put January 2024 and go and look at all the photos you took in January of 2024. You can go in and take a look at where was I in January of 2024? What did I look like? What was the feeling that I was in? Where did I go? Who did I spend my time with? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you can go into February, then you can go into March, you can go into April. So you can gauge your life based on how your animals were doing at that time. Fabulous. I know some people probably have phones full of their kids, pictures of their kids too. So take a look what you were doing with your children. Where were you taking them? What trips were you on? What crafts were you doing? What school trips did you volunteer for? Stuff like that. But it's just a reminder of where you were at that point in your life as you go back. So we've done two sides. On the one side is where you're going to put all of the things that you feel are positive, high vibrational. They were beneficial, helpful, that you want to keep the experience in the subconscious. I don't want you throwing away any gold. Okay. Like if you have successes, wins, celebrations, things that you're proud of yourself for, any sort of growth or gain, like any place where you've grown, I want you to really, really keep that and take that with you. That growth is so powerful and beneficial for you to take into 2025. I don't want you to ditch that. We're not releasing that. We're going to bless it and take it with us. So anything that you feel is positive or good or helpful or beneficial to take into 2025 with you, I want you to put it on the one side. And then anything that you're noticing or you're observing or you're becoming aware of that doesn't sound like it's kindness from a loving perspective, it's maybe a little harsh or limiting or something like that, I want you to put it onto the other side. So, what we want to take into 2025 from that then is that you put your health first, that you put your peace and creativity first, that you made decisions to live and act from an elevated version of yourself in two different ways. What is lost shall be found. But like if it's something that you don't want back, don't say you lost it, then you released it. Sometimes the ego says, I don't know. So the ego wants to protect you. It wants to keep you safe. It wants you to stay in the same place. It wants you to be comfortable. So what the ego will do is it will say, oh, I don't know. I don't know how the year went. I don't know. I don't know if where I did good things. I don't know where I messed up. It will just say, I don't know. And you do know. All of us do know. We do know how we feel. We do know what works for us. We do know what makes us happy. We do know what makes us sad. The problem is that many of us have lost the ability to trust ourselves because we have learned to live outside of ourselves instead of to live within ourselves. And so we seek external validation. We seek the outside world to tell us that we're on the right track, that we're doing the right thing, that we are enough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm actually just doing by asking all of you to put it into the chat is I'm just asking the outside world to give you the information that the inside of you already knows and has. And so if you see something and you go, oh, that's me. All we did was your inner knowing went, there it is. The ego went away for a little bit. Your inner knowing went, oh, there it is. Well, the last thing, how did it feel? So as you're reflecting on the year and you're reflecting upon your experiences, I want you to also connect in to the emotional state that whatever that story or meaning that you're giving to the experience has created in you. Let's say I'm looking at January of last year. January of last year, I spent the most of the entire month of January in Malibu. I rented a beautiful 3-bedroom house. I did a retreat with my team in January. I went back and I looked at my January because I'm like, what did I do? We did a team retreat. I spent the month of January in Malibu. I started the new year with my daughters with me in Malibu as well as a family. But also in January, I went through a very, very powerful, I don't want to give it too much meaning, but what the common human would say would be like heartbreak. There was this incredible, powerful feeling of gratitude and love for being in Malibu and being with my team. But then there was also this overwhelming feeling of sadness. So see how I'm starting to now tap into the emotional states with which I experienced during the year. And that's what I want you to do. And then as you get to the end of the year, you'll start to notice patterns habits and programs. So you're going to start to notice themes. What I for sure will start to see in my year is themes of gratitude, themes of growth, themes of love, all that kind of stuff, of transformation. Now, if I start noticing a theme of sadness all the time, that's an awareness. Why am I experiencing so much sadness in my life? And this is where we're going to figure out what that underlying belief system is. What in the identity, what in the subconscious mind, what do you keep doing that you keep choosing sadness? The other way to put it is what keeps happening to me that I'm so sad about, but that is an unaware way of looking at life. A consciously aware way of looking at life is to say, why do I keep choosing and experiencing sadness in my life? There is something that you keep choosing that is bringing the feeling of sadness into your life. And what you don't change, you choose. Relationships are such a beautiful example of this. You know, if you grew up in a household or a relationship where conflict was normal and natural, what are you going to do in your life? You're going to enter into a relationship where conflict is natural and normal. So you might even say to yourself, but I want a peaceful, loving relationship. I don't want to fight. Like, I just want to be like kumbaya, love each other all the time. Like, and then you start noticing that you keep dating and getting into relationships where conflict occurs. It's just your habit. It's just your pattern. It's just your program. There's an opportunity for you to go in and to reprogram it and to choose something different. But that's the awareness. That's the reprogramming of the subconscious mind. Every single one of you holds an identity about who you think you are in this world. And if you've been in my work for some time, that identity is constantly evolving. It's shifting. It's lightening up. It's becoming more empowered. It's becoming more influential. It's becoming brighter. It's becoming more loving, more free, more in a state of more flow. Okay, so you're every single day getting closer and closer to who you really are, that real experience of who you are. So wonderful and great. But every single identity that we hold has a feeling attached to it. So what you will notice by the end of reviewing this year, you're going to be able to have a feeling that you will notice is the feeling of you and the feeling of being you this year. Some of you, it might be very empowering, and some of you, it might not feel very empowering. But that's okay, because we're going to choose a new feeling and a new word and a new identity for 2025 so that we're not replaying the old, that we're starting from the new. Real creation, real manifestation. It's doing something you've never done before. It's being someone you've never been before. So if you're somebody that is so comfortable in staying in the same place, who does not want to do something that they've never done before, I don't know why you're here. It actually makes no sense. So what does that mean about all of you? That you all want to become aware of how to do something different, how to be someone different, and how to experience a different life. And creating your reality, true creation, is your life. My biggest creation, my biggest manifestation is my life. It has been custom designed by me. And so each and every one of us have that ability. Neil Donald Walsh, in Conversations with God, he said there's 3 tools of creation: our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. 3 tools of creation: thoughts, feelings, and actions. So you're literally creating your own reality based on how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you're behaving. Use your thoughts to think about and reflect upon your life in the past 11 months. Now I'm getting you to feel the feeling associated with the thoughts of 2024. Looking back on your year and looking back at the choices you continue to make, it's beautiful awareness, but you are going to have to make a new choice. Like, I had to say, I'm not going to be a nurse anymore. I'm not going to renew my license. I'm not going to go back there. I had to choose that. There's no reality where I'm doing this and being a nurse at the exact same time. I would not have the capacity. So it's truly about moving that energy, right? And making a new decision. So with this reflection, the first thing that we're doing is we're going to reflect. We're going to ask ourselves the questions. We're going to go through the year. What are some of the positive things that we feel we're going to take with us? And what are some of the things that we're going to release? What were the feelings that we were in during every month of the year? The good feelings and the bad feelings. Because it's not just going to be one emotion. It's a law of rhythm. It's a law of opposites. So we're going to have multiple emotions. We're going to have multiple experiences. Then when you look outside of it, and I would even venture to say, if you can look at it from a higher spiritual perspective, this is the most profound work that you will ever do. You can't see the fear if you're in the fear. So I want you to come outside of it. So, what I do to come from a higher spiritual perspective is to sit with myself with my hand on my heart. Okay. I feel like when I put my hand on my heart, it allows me to drop out of my head and to move into my heart. And I'll feel the feeling of love. So for you, it might be love for yourself, love for the world. It could be love for another person. Whatever that is, I always move into a loving feeling. What I find that that does is it connects me to the higher spiritual perspective. Because when I'm heavy in my human, I'm taking things personal, my feelings are hurt, I'm sad, I'm upset, I'm worried about something, I'm feeling limited, I'm frustrated, maybe I'm super, super tired. I know that when I go on my cycle, I'm a little more emotional. I'll just cry for no reason, literally. It's like, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm just crying because I'm crying, and that's okay. But I've got to come out of those things. So I always put my hand on my heart and I let come out of my head and I come right into my heart and I just feel love. Okay. And when I feel that, I notice that shift, I'm now in my higher spiritual perspective. That's how I do it. I don't know what works for you, but that works for me. So when I'm in the higher spiritual perspective, I can review my notes from an empowered place. I can review my notes from a place where I'm not limited. I can review my notes about fear from a non fearful state. I can come outside of the mind to see what's going on in the mind and to be an observer. So I might review the year from that place and go, oh, wow, I kept making the same decision. Even though I told myself I was going to make a new one, I never did. Why not? It might be something like, oh, I've noticed a pattern here where every single month last year I made the same amount of money, never made more, not a single month. Every single month I made the exact same amount. What does that tell you? It's a pattern, it's a habit. You're programmed to make the same amount of money every single month. Okay, great feedback. Good. See, from the higher spiritual perspective. So once we come from that higher spiritual perspective, I want you to notice the patterns. I want you to make a decision that you're going to release 3 things. I actually want you to choose 3 things that you are releasing and not taking with you into 2025. 3 things. We're looking at the year, we're looking at 2024, and we're going to look at some of the decisions that we never made, some of the actions that we never acted on, some of the goals we set in January that we never accomplished. We're going to look at, where did I fall off? So if I said that I was going to work out 3 days a week, every single week, and that lasted until March, we're going to go, okay, it's an awareness. I'm going to revisit that again. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to be more consistent or disciplined. Your identity, that is patterns and program in the subconscious mind, is that you are not disciplined, that you lack discipline. You believe you lack discipline, and so you naturally express lack of discipline in your life. So what I would actually do is go into the subconscious mind and reprogram a belief that says that you are disciplined. And so if you are a highly disciplined individual, what would you say? What would be the words that would come out of your mouth? What would be the thoughts that would go through your head every day? What would the feeling be? And let me tell you something, I always set the goal to exercise. It was always this thing where I would say I was going to do it, but I would never do it. And then I started to feel all kinds of guilt and shame about never doing it. I have to work out. I should work out. So I was in this vicious cycle of never doing the thing that I said I was going to do. Never decided to do it because I was just existing from the old identity. So I'm saying this because I want you to notice those things you're doing. What are the things that you put off? What are the things that you avoid? What are the things that keep coming and coming and coming, that they're on your to-do list and you just keep moving them to tomorrow? And you move them to tomorrow and you move them to tomorrow. What is that? If you've noticed that you were in the feeling of doubt a lot, you second guessed your decisions, You second guessed your investments. You didn't follow through on many of the things that you thought that you wanted to do. You said you were going to do something and you never ever did it because you were too doubtful. Whatever that is, you might decide that you're going to leave doubt behind in 2024. So these three things are the three most pivotal, profound things that you're going to be leaving behind in 2024. There is this thing called the reticular activating system. It's a part of the brain. It's part of the functionality of how our mind actually works, is that your mind will look for and recognize whatever the story is that you're telling it. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if I say that I'm hard done by, I've had a really bad life, I'm limited, I can't do this because of this and this and that, I then will see outside of me all of the evidence to prove it. My mind will literally only see according to that story. All the good in your life, you won't even see it. This is exactly what happened to me when I experienced what humans would call depression. Is literally my mind, because I was depressed and sad and hated my life, all I saw was everything that just confirmed that. This is confirmation bias. Everything. So what did I do through this work? I decided to do it the other way. I was like, hold on a minute. What if I start telling myself the most empowering story, the most loving story, the most influential story? What if I start telling myself a story about how amazing life is, how good everything gets to be? What if I start telling myself that I'm powerful, that I'm a powerful manifester, that I think something and it shows up in my life just like this? Guess what? My mind went to work. And my mind was like, oh, here's evidence, Kathleen. Oh, here you go. Here's another one. Here's another example. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. And my mind started to notice and observe all the reasons why this is true and real. And so I started to confirm it to myself. Your mind will do that for you. But you have to decide what you're planting in the subconscious mind, the womb of creation. You get to decide what the story is, what the idea is, what the reality is. And then you will find the things that lead to it. It's about what you believe to be true and allowing yourself to match the vibration of it. I lived and acted from Kathleen Cameron Millionaire. Then I created $100 million Kathleen. She was KC. I stopped calling myself Kathleen. I started calling myself KC. And so I said, that's it. That's the 100 million Kathleen. She's KC. So then I started embodying that identity. I got the KC necklace made. I'm like, here we go. Let's go. Then we hit 35 million in revenue over in less than 5 years. And I went, well, 100 million's done. Come on. 35 is already complete. I got another 50, 60 years here in this world. So 100's done. So I created KCB. I just added the word billionaire. That's it. So the billionaire identity had me no longer thinking like a millionaire. It had me thinking like a billionaire. So what's different? You make different decisions. And as soon as I did that in April, like, whoa, what's happened? I have ownership in like 6 companies now. Like it's moving. It's moving quick. And my team is even feeling it. It's powerful, but that's the power behind this work. You can be whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. I go by KCB, and I'm a spiritual being who was called to this humanly experience to raise collective consciousness. That's how I would introduce myself. Not a mom of 2 girls, a former nurse, a multimillionaire, manifestation coach, mentor, sister, daughter. These are all the conditioning programmed in your human. I'm dear, a multidimensional woman. Yes. I'm just getting you to open your perspective about what makes me who I am, like, and what makes me what I am. And so what I understand is I'm a spiritual being who's now controlling her human, who's reprogramming her human. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the best possible thing that I can get this woman to believe? How do I get this one right here to move, to be empowered, to be inspired, and to take action and to change the world? I'm going to convince her she's limitless. I'm going to convince her she can do anything. I'm going to convince her that she's changing the world. I'm going to convince her that she's meant to serve millions. So this is what I'm doing. I'm literally programming myself to believe I can do anything, and then I will. And now you're all doing it to yourselves. That's what this work is.